All right. We are live, guys. Welcome. We are here for Ignite Presents Ask the Coaches. Very excited about this. We have collected some of the best coaches in the area in specific fields that I think everybody's going to get a ton out of today. So we're going to wait a couple of seconds to make sure this broadcasts out, make sure we get some viewers on, and then we're going to get started. So relax, guys. Just relax.
I'm so excited.
All right. Looks like we're out there. So, all right, let's go. All right. So again, I'm going to go around the room. Mike Wilmer, a co-founder of Ignite Leadership 360. We are partners with my wife. You'll meet here in a second. And we are the Aries program out there in sales. Kelly, let's start with you.
We focus on individual programs, tailoring them specifically. So a certified nutritionist.
John Malora, I do imposter syndrome, which we'll get into. People know that they're worthy of all relationships they have. I give them some.
Kira, founder of Ignite, many talented coaches that to have as partner coaches here at Ignite.
Danette.
Business consultant and financial relationship with money.
Joe Wood.
What's up? World's All-In Coach, where I focus on my co-founder of All-In Mortgage, focuses on all kinds of residential.
And last but not.
So my company is with the consistency in wellness and life coaching.
We have just what I like to call the wheel. Promoting this for about 3 or 4 weeks now. We got about 6 or 7 questions lined up for one, which I think is probably the most important. What the competency is, it's why should I hire a coach? And Kira, I'm going to start with you first. And
Well, I always say that you don't need, which is really valuable in your life because you're only whatever's going on in your life, not emotionally attached to what. So nobody needs a coach if you want to achieve different luck, or you feel lost, having somebody outside of it. The other reason you may want to be dedicated to getting the most out of life, right? Or wins a game. They don't fire them, right? So if you're a top performer, if a coach can help you get there, then without a coach.
And all the time as coaches that people broken to need a coach, right? And we all know that. Give some perspective on that kind of on the Pete. Right. In bodybuilding.
Absolutely. So, and for myself personally, even to this day, I'm a certified nutritionist. I'm a personal trainer, put a plan together and really focus on it. Guess what I do? So I really think it's not know what you're doing. Having that accountability of somebody that, okay, you may know what you're doing, but let's face it, no matter how intelligent we are, lost in, we overthink things, and our worst enemy. And I think everybody probably would agree with me.
I'm going to jump to Joe, and then I'm going to go to Anna after that. But Joe, social media whiz, why should people be faster to that?
I think the biggest keeps you in check. We all coach, but I think somebody not doing it, or you need to step up your game, dude. That accountable and responsible to somebody. So
right, it's really right. Crushing any beliefs, right? That's the accountability. So that's the important thing.
Yeah, I definitely as well. I also concentrates on wellness and helping people and kind of get them to a place where they love who they are, so that they're themselves. I think definitely with there and with why place. I think that's wellness goes.
I love that. I'm going to go to John. So Danette, who, as I know, you really right. So talk about why coach.
Well, if we could succeed just successful in living, our best, there's something there that says that we really need there and hold us. Everyone's talked about accountability. I'm the financial coach. The sad part of that is that emotionally, money, it creates a lot of emotion, right? No one ever really taught us that there is. So just a coach in general, whether it's any one of the other areas mentioned by the coaches, regularly for coaching, depending upon the area of my life. I'm feeling like, I'm not doing to just my own emotional way of responding to a coach. There's always value at some point in your life.
Right. Purpose, because one of the questions, I feel like a fraud, right? Or I'm have the best imposter on the Zoom or on the. Tell us about why, especially when it comes to hire a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Things with a coach is that I'm looking to get ahead, whether it's health, finance. The biggest life hack, so to speak, is to find someone that has already done the journey. It's like the verse where he says, when you get where you're going, next person in line. And that's what so many with Ignite do, trials. And we can, as an observer, to have these going on in your life and trying to find they're directly affected by whatever's going.
And that's all, and that's awesome. And I think that's the, when you look at on the stream tonight, I just, Kieran, we looked at kind of everybody's experience, right? And we were 1,000 hours worth of experience on this. We wanted to partner with you guys. Why? We wanted to really get out to the masses, and on that one question was phenomenal. And I want to pivot, because one of the things that are near and dear to Kira and I are teens, right? We're starting to kind of weigh in. We got the generic question of, can everybody can be coached, right? And we're seeing that more and more. And what's the advice, that you would give teens and progress with all of the garbage, image shaming and things like that? I'm gonna get to you on that one, but just we're fortunately in a society now that we can send that positive message. And this team help teams, and the parent and coaching do for them.
It taught me, and a couple of coaches that I have in the business, don't listen to the noise out there. Visualize it, visualize, turning the noise down. So I do a lot of visualizations in the morning, or with social media where people berate me, laugh at it now. So it's taken me about a good year, but coaching has helped me really, this is just somebody having a bad day. That's not me. They're projecting those feelings onto me, and I just kind of did. So when I talk to, and the biggest thing I say is, you got to not listen to that noise. It's hard to listen to it and just pay no attention. It's behind the man behind the curtain. You just got
to jump in, guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just the noise disruption. I work college and younger, especially. To me, it just constantly amazes in themselves, and a lot of that is social media generated. So then I think there's a lot of different challenges that we come through. On what Anna had said, learning how to love yourself it starts coming into, especially in our teen years. And I want to help you sort through the noise of all the traumatic issues and trauma that I was personally wanted to just sit me down and just all the things that were going on. How much better, what different a direction I would have taken on because it made me a really good coach, but it would have saved me a lot. So I think of that very much.
Yeah, John.
One of the great pieces of advice I heard about it whenever or hurtful comments, it talk into that as it took, if someone's sitting behind type some hurtful thing in a comment, they're not vested, they didn't put themselves out there. So, and, like Joe said, maybe they were having a bad day. It's hard to do. You got to get the reps in and practice. Just be like, that person didn't put anything on the line. I mean, be like, hey, dude, can I talk to you with me? We have a critical conversation. Like, I should put a lot on the line, the relationship, put himself out there. So just think about the line that says these negative or hurtful things, a corresponding amount of concern.
And one thing I'd like to add about the coaching for teens, for us at Ignite, I had a lot of teens come in, still to this day, a lot of their parent, right? They're not on life coach near me at 14 years old. They're not a parent. And as a coach, I'm not their parent, right? I definitely do not coach my teens in my office to tell me not to coach them. Right?
Still can't get them to
that. And that was what I saw was that, or with teens, is that, and really just listen without that emotional attachment. Be doing this is what you could be doing, right? And so it's very important, right, to have your client, whether it's a teen, to have them feel like you're their back. You're going to challenge them, right? I'm still going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that anyone who coaches their corner. And I think for things.
Yeah. So Mike, I know a lot with at-risk youth, right? So for many years, had new boys in the fair school. I'm familiar. It's a place for adjudicate. This is who I worked with, and I remember I don't understand tough places, and yet list of students that have completed your. And so she said to me, "What is it that you're doing yourself?" And I realized that it was because I do what I call coaching in the classroom. That environment, and what happened was own problems and calling themselves out. And so, even in Maryland, I had a group of kids that were looking at either coming in front of us for some same response, and it's because that you can do in so many circumstances. Relationship, it puts the person in the driver's seat. I'm not driving. Huge difference.
For you.
Yeah, I've kind of like sprinkling it in, not necessarily actually coach. There can be a lot of drama, not just on and through text and things like that. That I try to try to focus on empathy are coming at you negative way. It is not about them. It's not about, about them and something that's going on. That seems to have made a difference, that way instead of negative way.
John, did you weigh in on this one? Do you track or did you weigh in? Did you weigh in on this one?
For teens, but
That's
I mean,
right.
and everyone's kind of touched on it, is connection to people when you're coaching. About to this day, my best friend and I both went through, and when our daughters started, who are the daughter at home, and tried to teach her a technique, and she would get so frustrated. Do the same thing with his daughter. Well, we're arguing with our individual kids, and I said, hey, students. And as soon as my daughter finished practicing with Mr. Buckle, she goes, from him, look at what I learned. I've been telling you all week, but getting that emotional connection out of there really enables a different type.
And it's interesting that you said that, John. Maybe in my own relationship, and I see that also in relationships with, this, and then somebody else comes in, then a coach comes in.
Right.
I have a particular coworker that, no, I'm just kidding.
I've done the same thing with my son. I'm in the gym 2 times, and it was like an instantaneous. I knew, I'm like, I love you enough to not keep doing this to you. Yeah. So I have one of my friends coaching him, and he has absolutely, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch, and he's gained a lot of self-confidence.
So Kelly, let's stay with you to kick. We got a lot of questions around mental and physical health. Kira, Kelly, and I partner on adaptive ward training around this very topic. We just had an opportunity to go to one of the largest energy, physical and mental resiliency. So Kelly, talk about that topic, and then I want to hear everybody else mental health, self-care kind of bucket.
So I'll take the health aspect of it, because I think one necessarily, as you guys know, one totally feeds the other. When you're taking care of your body, when you're eating right and you're exercising, you are in health as well. And I think a lot of people health journey completely wrong. They do it because they see something on TV, or they follow this next fad diet idea that isn't theirs. They see V-Shred on a commercial, and he's eating donuts and a bunch of pizza, and they're like, that's for me. But they didn't really sit down and take who am I? What are my goals? And let's be realistic about my health journey. So I'm going to go back to Anna and say, that process of falling in love with yourself. And I think one of the most important things you can do in your health journey. Why do I want to get something different than I currently have? And that is a huge connection. And I tell you, sit down, I want you to write a letter to yourself, write your why. And it seems like an odd thing, but to be honest with you, that's the responsibility of your health journey. And along that, I'm going to try to keep this short, because I know I can go on forever about this, and I'll just give you guys a couple quick tips. Your you are realistic about what you want to accomplish. Know where you're starting, make an appointment with where your current health is before you get started in any kind of journey. You might go to the doctor and find out that you have a deficiency in something, that your levels might be off, that are going to definitely incorporate not only to your emotion and be contributors to your weight gain and your happiness. So know where you are. Second, make a plan for yourself. If you are only willing to work out 3 days a week and you pick a plan that has you gym 6 days a week, that is not going to work. So you have to be realistic about who you are, what you're willing to do, and make sure that the plan fits you. And if you can go into that, and like I said, I'm here to teach you, I'm not here to keep you. Make sure whoever you're working with, it's their initiative to be able, like Anna said, to teach you this without me, and that's what a good coach, I think, should always be looking to do.
Yeah, and I want everybody else to kind of jump in also on the mindset side, right? Because there is a, Danette kind of said it well earlier, financial debt can stricken you with anxiety, right? And that mental health and things like that. So Danette, and then I'm going to have everybody else kind of weigh in. Joe, I know you want to talk about the mortgage industry a little bit on this side, but Danette, talk about the financial side of the mental health side of how that can be an impact.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to me how little attention has been brought up until, more recently, this whole idea of the real impact of finances. And, it's not how much money people make. I mean, there are people that do amazing things with their money and they don't make a lot compared to other people. So it's not about how much money you make. It's that relationship, but the mental health, if we look at the types of crimes and all sorts of things that occur because there's some connection to finances and money, we realize that we have to really take care of our finances. But as mentioned, you've got to have goals and you have to know where you're going. And what happens with money, it's like you get it, you spend it, and then you go back and go, oh my gosh, I need to pay this, I need to do that. We don't plan ahead. We talk about buying a house in 5 years, and then in 5 years we're there and we didn't buy the house. And all of that. How many divorces? One of the top reasons for divorce is problems with money, finances, disagreements. So yeah, mental health and finances are so connected that you really have to look at somebody. I think, Kelly, you were talking about a plan. You have to have a plan for your finances if you really want to stay mentally healthy, because it's a huge burden on our emotions and relationships.
And Joe, talk about, because I know you and I talk about the mortgage industry all the time. There's a lot of anxiety on the mindset side out there of what to expect over the next year in general, especially on the business side too, right? So talk about the business side and when it comes to mindset and things like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I'll kind of piggyback off Danette a little bit too, is I see it every day. I feel like I'm a coach, coaching people on their finances with the mortgages. The biggest problem we have in trying to lend is people don't have enough money in their finances. So, and then obviously right now where the housing market is, there really isn't a lot of what we call inventory or houses out there, and they're going up fast, and they're being bought all cash by some people out of state that have cash. So the big thing is that the industry is in big turmoil, highest rates in 20 years. So everybody's mindset is scarcity. They're freaking out. They're not sure what's going to happen. So they're going out, spending short term, not necessarily saving, knowing though that this is cyclical. This has always happened in the housing and let's say mortgage market. Every 10 years or so, something crazy happens and then it gets better. A lot of people say, well, it's sort of post-COVID, yeah, we're past that now, but people need to start saving a little bit more. So mindset is everything right now in our industry, because there's realtors, there's other peers in the mortgage industry that they're struggling. And I've heard them say, hey, I can't make my mortgage payment, or I can't make my rent. And for me, it's like, okay, how many calls are you making this week? What are you doing to grow your business? If you're making 10 calls, that's not enough right now. So you have to have a really strong mindset to get through this. And hopefully in the next 6 months, that will get better in our industry.
And that's a great point. And we talk about that with clients all the time is the next 6 months are going to pass whether you like them or not. Right. So you can have better health, better mindset, better financials decisions, better relationships. You're in control of that, right? Like, so you sit there, it's going to pass whether you like it or not. And we guarantee you as coaches, you will be far better off if you positively attack that situation and participate in the betterment of that situation. You're going to have a better outcome in 6 months versus being called, kind of curled up in a ball. Right. So let's pivot a little bit, as we talk about that kind of physical and mental resiliency. John and Anna, talk about it from the female and the male perspective, so to speak, of self-care, right? Is how do we get ourselves in a great place, right? So, and Anna, I'm going to start with you for the moms or somebody out there like that. What's the self-care piece that they should be focusing on?
I mean, I always go back to mindset too. I mean, I don't know if you want the the other mechanic stuff, but
absolutely.
Yeah, both. I mean, starting out like, so the other day I think Kiera saw it. Some of you may have seen it. I was kind of in a little blah mood. So I started dancing by myself. So this is a way that, like, moving my body and just doing whatever I feel is really fun. I don't necessarily think that lifting weights is always fun for me. I do it, but I like to dance. So I dance, and it's a real workout. And, as a stressed out mom who has a couple of jobs and that I love, but everything all together can, sometimes you just have to release that stress and do what you love and move your body in a way that feels great to you, whatever that is, and that can always kind of like lift your spirit if you do what you love.
And Kiera talks about it all the time, changing your state, right? I mean,
which that definitely changed my state for sure. And just laughing at myself, videotaping myself doing that, putting it on a story, laughing, smiling, I couldn't help but smile. My kid came in and he's like, what's happening here?
And I also love the dancing, like for other women watching this live, dancing is a great way to connect to your feminine energy. So I love that too. Yes, that's connecting to your feminine energy. Not that dudes don't dance or masculine energy doesn't dance.
We do. Not without 4 beers.
Right.
Forced into it.
Yeah. It's definitely a girl thing.
So John, Joe, guys get a bad rap when it comes to self-care, right? Self-care doesn't mean a massage, right? So how do the dudes get self-care? What do you guys do? And what would you recommend to people listening that, the self-care exercise for guys?
Yeah. One of the biggest struggles that men have is understanding who they authentically are, right? Mm-hmm. Because we don't get a whole lot of positive role models put out there in popular culture for men. It's like we kind of get 2 options fed to us. It's like you're either supposed to be Rambo, the lone wolf who can take care of everything by themselves, which, spoiler alert, that's total BS. Or guys are portrayed, you turn on any sitcom and we're just supposed to be bumbling buffoons. So there's really no great example for men to follow. So you get men that really want to serve their family, serve their community, serve their jobs well, but they don't understand who they truly are, because those aren't questions that, men traditionally have been taught to ask. Like, what lights me up? It's like men get so wrapped into serving others that they care about that they just do things they think they should do, right? Well, serving from a place of should is when the tank runs dry and things go sideways. Right. So one of the biggest things men can do is actually figure out what really lights them up. If going golfing every week or so lights you up for real, cool, right on. Do that to decompress, but don't do things that you think you should be doing just because this is what guys do. So that's why.
Be careful with golf, because a friend of mine told me his wife said she wished she had a 6-hour kidless hobby. So that's not always the best one to pick, I can say.
Right, but that's what I mean. So a lot of guys pick it because they think they should pick golf, right?
That's right.
But they're like, I hate golf. Golf sucks. But it's like, well, then what do you, so the guys I coach, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing golf? He's like, I don't know. Cause that's what dudes do.
That's right. So what do you think? What's some of the self-care guys can do?
Yeah, I think
that's not golf.
Right. Well, I do golf. I haven't been that great lately. I actually have a day a month. I call it the dude day, where I just be me. I just do whatever I need to do. If there's certain things I need to do, it's kind of like the me time. I guess the women's version of their time, the spa and all that stuff. Maybe I'll go for a run. I'll do yard work. I'll get the chainsaw out and do stuff, or I'll do some meditation for an hour. Go for a drive on some of the back roads in Delaware and stuff like that, or just go somewhere. Go to Philly. Go to New York maybe for the day, DC. It's all within there's a lot of resources out there. So I think, to really kind of stay in alignment and stay in your authentic self, you got to have that time for yourself. Because as guys, as John said, it's like, a lot of people expect us to do everything, the Rambo or the Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you got to have that time for yourself. You got to be able to chill and relax. And that's what I kind of call it the dude day. Sit around the fire pit at night, kick your feet up, watch a couple movies. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's reading a book for the day, going to a seminar, whatever it is. But you got to have that time for yourself, and that'll help you.
You have to. And then Danette and Kelly and Kira, I'm curious. I'm going to go back to you too for self-care. I mean, what are those self-care ideas for the ladies or the men?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to talk about the hiking and being in nature, because that's something that Keith and I do, and it's kind of cool because we have areas where we go hiking that are more, undeveloped beach areas, not far from us and places like that. But we found this area, like there's these beautiful little waterfalls real close to our home, and we didn't know they were here. Yeah. And so I think it's funny because that's a hiking that he'll say to me, well, why don't we go to the falls? And I'm going, well, it just rained the night before and the rocks are really slick, and it's going to get muddy, but I'll go because he just loves it. And when we're in nature together, the world is perfect. That's right. Everything. And we love photography too, so we add all that in. So I think for men and for women, I think hiking and just being in nature is something that's kind of levels the playing field. You can both get into it. And I'm from Puerto Rico, so being from an island, just being near water for me, it doesn't matter if it's the Chesapeake Bay, if it's a beach, or if it's a pond, or if it's the waterfalls, right? It's like a Zen place for me. So I think that hiking thing and being in the woods is kind of like a cool thing for men and guys.
Kira and Kelly, how about you guys? What's I know you guys in your respective coaching talk about this all the time. What kind of ideas you have?
I think there's for me personally, daily levels of self-care, and depending on where I am and what's going on in my life may determine that direction of self-care that I need to take. But just eating right for me, controlling my nutrition, making sure that I'm staying on point with my fitness, that's self-care in itself, But say if I'm having I'm going through something extremely emotional, or I need a place to let it all go. I know I can, for me, Danette was talking about going to water, being near water, I can get on a horse and go horseback riding and let go of everything. So that's my ultimate self-care. I know I can go do that if I need to and literally let go of everything that I'm going on. But I do follow the daily as well, and I'm sure Kiera and Anna would agree with me on that. It kind of depends on what you are experiencing in life or what level you need to go to.
Yeah, that's right. Kiera?
Yeah. I would echo everything that's been said. And one of the biggest areas for me, for myself, and what I coach individuals on is self-care is also knowing your boundaries. Knowing your boundaries, knowing who you are authentically at your core, and remaining consistent with that. If you're saying yes more often than you want to be saying yes, if you're, violating your values more often than you want to be, well, Best case scenario, you're not doing that at all. And that's self-care. Self-care is staying true to who you authentically are at your core. It's one of the first things we address when you come to coaching is if you're not feeling fulfilled or where you want to be in life, you are probably not living aligned to who you truly are at your core. So we want to help you get back there. And self-care is preserving that. It's making that your number one priority day in and day out, is to be true to who you are at your core.
Speaking of priorities, that's a great pivot to our one of the other questions we got.
It's like I planned that, but I didn't.
That was good. That was good. Is goal setting, and I want to hear everybody kind of weigh in on this one relative to your specific competency as well, right? Give some great advice for that. But John, I'm going to start with you. And when somebody comes to you about goal setting, what's your philosophy? How do you approach your own goal settings, and what do you teach people to do when it comes to their personal? And let's tie it into growth, right? Let's assume it's growth. And that could be in a number of categories. But how do you address that?
This kind of goes back to one of the things Kelly said about 10, 15 minutes ago, understanding where you're starting from and being honest with yourself about that. So when I work with people and we're working on setting goals, it's, let's set our goals, but also let's frame it with, is that really attainable in the time period that we're doing it? And, SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, relevant and time bound, right? So whatever you're going after, is it really something that you can do in that amount of time? So let's say it's a year-long goal. Like we'll just use money because that's an easy barometer. So, business owner wants to have a certain income level by the end of the year. Well, let's not wait until December 29th to check in on that goal, right? Let's set some waypoints along the way. It could be every 3 months, maybe it's just every 6 months. But stop and look and see where you're at and see if you need to make a big tweak, little tweak. Maybe you're right on target, but look at where you're at. And if you need to change that goal, change it. Be realistic about it. It's like Bruce Lee always talks about being flexible and being able to move, because a rigid tree is going to snap, whereas bamboo or a willow is flexible and it doesn't break under a strain.
Yeah. And SMART goals, 100%. I'm a huge fan. If you guys know me well, I love SMART goals because, and the other piece of that, John, is celebrating those little wins too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is finding a way to celebrate those incremental wins, and anything you do, that incremental piece is huge. And because those massive goals sometimes become overwhelming, and if you break them down. So I'm going to continue with you kind of counterclockwise. So give us some advice on the goal setting side.
Yeah, I actually have been thinking about this a lot. I was just coaching somebody who said that I forget the exact month. Let's just say it's March, that she's going somewhere and she wants to lose a certain amount of weight for this particular trip. And I have talked to a lot of women about consistency, and it's the number one issue. And when I believe from talking to women that it seems that when they have a specific goal like that, to lose a specific amount of weight in a specific time, they get there, they've done it, and then they think, I'm done. This is great. I'm done. But I believe that wellness does not have an end date. It's a lifestyle. And I try really, I teach people, that March, maybe, that's good. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But also, it's a lifestyle. So start with small steps, like John was saying, and celebrate those little wins, because the littlest thing, you have to win.
Right.
You have to go for a 5-minute walk, and that has to be awesome to you.
Yeah. And it's great advice. I love that because I saw Kelly giving the nod when you said that about shouldn't just be about that short-term finish line. It's the long finish line, right? Of why you're doing it,
right? And
getting your whys behind it, right? So, so then I'm going to pivot to you. Give us some goal setting stuff.
So when I work with someone on goals, I go first to why, right? why, but not why on the surface. I mentioned buying a house, or I want to, in my case, financially, right? Somebody wants to start an emergency fund or whatever that goal is, but it can be any goal. I start with why, because what I've discovered in working with people and what I notice really changes the results. It's that when you really, really know why you want something. In other words, if somebody said to me, I want to buy a house, I want to know why they want this house, but not, oh, so that, I want to move, or we're going to move to this state. No, why do you really want this house? Like, what is it going to do for you? Paint that picture for me about what that feeling is that you're going to have with this particular move, this house that you want to buy. And, it could be something as simple as, well, we have 3 kids, 2 are boys, 1's a girl, and she eventually is going to need her own place. And we just keep going and going. And I find that at any age that can happen. And especially because when I work with people in their finances, I've had people that are homeless, and we're talking about saving. And initially they might look at me like, all right, so I'm homeless. Why are we talking about saving? And I'm like, because the goal isn't how much you're going to save.
Yeah.
It's knowing why you want to save. Where are you trying to get from here to there? I don't care if you tell me you're going to save $1 a week, because it's the habit change that I'm looking for. It's becoming that saver, right?
Yeah.
So to me, the why, knowing profoundly why you want somebody, it makes a huge difference in how people.
I love that. Yeah, I love the why aspect of that. That's awesome. Kelly.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you name some of the most successful people in the world, and I'm going to tell you they have constant goals. I mean, that's just a given. I think anybody that is doing well is definitely probably more than likely a very good goal setter. And if you're not chasing goals, I really think that a part of that goal setting is achieving something more for yourself and adding to your personal value. It's about growth. And that's important for all of us. I think we need to be able to grow as human beings and find value in ourselves. And I'll come back to the fact that the goal setting, it's important to have a coach, because when you are putting that goal setting together, for example, with the health aspect, we'll go back. We've all said you have to have your why and be able to make reasonable, obtainable steps along the way. But also, I'm going to go back and say it's just as valuable to make sure you're having somebody keep you accountable to reaching those small, achievable goals along the way. So I think I will go back on what everybody is saying, is just that accountability and making sure that you're setting things that are obtainable, reasonable, and something that aligns with, like Kiara said, your values. Do your goals align with your values? Do they align with who you are? Do they align with what you want? Everybody comes to me, and I'll follow with Anna. She said, people come to her with that, idea of, I want to lose a little bit of weight for a vacation or something like that. And I'll say the same thing. Why are we doing a diet? Like, a diet determines, like, in my mind, is a short-term thing. Why aren't we doing a lifestyle change that we can continue to go down this road of success and continue to build on our health journey for a long, sustainable time?
Love it. Kiera.
Piggybacking right on what Kelly said, it's about becoming, it's not something you do, it's who you are, right? So that consistency, that why, everything that we've all shared, right? Once you attach that to your identity and to who you are, it isn't something that you just do. It's, and I know Anna and I are partnering on a wellness reboot right now, and she talks often about she doesn't have to think twice. I mean, maybe some days, especially if it's cold and rainy, about walking, right? And you've done this, you've committed this practice, and you've conditioned it to your identity that it's who you are.
Right.
Yep. So I think that's, one of the most important things. I love, we have mindset, we have mechanics. I love the steps. I agree, SMART goals all the way. And you have the most effective SMART goals partner with that, with your why, and really identifying to who you are at your core, what you value, and conditioning it. So
100%.
You're not questioning it. I'm doing this because this is who I am.
Joe Woo.
All right. So I kind of changed it up a little bit. I don't really use the word goals as much. I came from a corporate background where it's like, all right, what's your 10 goals? So I look at it as outcomes, right? Because when you can get an outcome, it's very specific and you kind of get that big picture in your head. So if I say, hey, the outcome for our mortgage business is we want to do fund 20 million in loans this year. There's a lot of questions you can ask. It allows you to be innovative as far as like, okay, what does that look like? What does the picture look like? And kind of sketch it out from the big picture. And I think to an outcome for me allows me to be more adaptable, right? So with the way the market is right now, what do? You got to be adaptable. You still want to hit that outcome of doing that $20 million, but we need to pivot now from doing residential to probably commercial and investor type loans. So it allows us to kind of constantly shift and pivot and move a little bit. And I think to kind of sum that up is really, again, it goes back to what we started in the beginning is having that accountability coach that's there saying, hey, you're on target or no, you're not. Get your ass up and go. You got to keep working. You got to keep hustling. So that's where I go from it.
I love it. And then we're coming into the home stretch of the last 10 minutes here, guys. And one of the other big questions we got was relationships, right? And that's a whole nother stream for sure. But just give a little bit of perspective. I'm going to go hit back with John again. Give a little bit of perspective if somebody's coming to you for relationship coaching. Give the folks listening a variety of opportunities that you can help them with and things like that. But John, talk about relationship. And I'm going to start actually. Don't work with your wife 24/7. Okay.
10 out of 10 agree. Love you.
All right. Yeah. So the private coaching clients that I work with are men, specifically, men. And going back to not having good examples, growing up, communication is not something I think a lot of people would agree is most men's strong suit. So I always like to help men understand how to listen with empathy. And a great tool, just kind of right out of the gate, because we're, baby steps with a lot of these guys, is a lot of guys, their intention is in the right place and they just want to fix stuff, right? Someone comes and just wants to, sometimes people just need to get stuff off their chest. And a great piece of advice is to help guys interrupt themselves before they try to solve the problem, is just say, hey, would you like feedback on this and some solutions, or do you just need someone to listen to? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Because maybe whoever you're talking to wants some feedback and they want to hash it out. Or they might just want to sit at the kitchen island and tell you what happened. And understanding that that's an important part of a relationship is understanding what kind of communication is going to best serve the person
that's right
that you're talking to.
Right. And a lot of the guys that I'll give advice to, sometimes a coach, I'll kind of give them something that Kira taught me, which is sometimes you just have to sit there and the guys will go, and do what? Like, do nothing. Just be present. Like sometimes it's just that simple, right?
Yeah.
And we struggle with that as men for sure. So,
yeah.
Anna, how about you on the relationship side?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I myself may have some, experience with this word, but control is what comes to mind for me. And I have helped others with this as well. And just in, I guess trying to navigate, like, I think as women, I've talked to a lot of women who have the same, issue, I guess, that I had, which was, trying to do all of the things, which is kind of like a woman thing. And then telling the man also what you want them to do and exactly how you want it done and things like that. And I think maybe letting go of a little bit of that can be very helpful.
And Kira and I talk a lot about that in one of our inner leader relationship stuff, is fighting for the same parking spot, right? Which tends sometimes to be the fundamental challenges of relationships. And she does a phenomenal job of kind of coaching through that whole process. And that is a fundamental challenge a lot of folks have.
Yes,
And it doesn't matter the age or the length of your relationship. It happens all the time.
right.
Danette, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, the whole relationship thing is every day, because basically when you talk about finances, I mean, I'm a business consultant and financial coach, right? And some people come to me and they think they're coming to me for business, and inevitably it becomes financial coaching. But in relationships, that's one of the areas that I have to work when I work with, someone and their partner, because we grow up with different beliefs and different ways of seeing money and our beliefs around money. And then what happens is you get two people that are trying to achieve the same, that they think they're going towards the same goal, but the truth is that they haven't worked out that relationship with money, and then individually, and then how do I come together, right? It's like you get into a relationship and everything's supposed to be so easy, and the truth is that relationship with money is just one of the biggest places where I spend my time coaching, because it is about relationships with the money. And then how do we as individuals, separate individuals, how do we deal with that?
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. You can appreciate this whenever we have somebody come to us for the business coaching side. We really, you're a person first, right? As you kind of said, is there's a lot of times we got to address the person first before we can fix the business challenge that they think they have. A lot of times it correlates back to that personal thing. And so 100% agree. Kelly.
I think the most important question that anybody could ask in a relationship is, what value do they bring to the table for your life and for you? I mean, is the person that you've chosen to be with, are they encouraging your dreams? Are they pushing you to become better? Are they challenging you? And that is huge, because especially with women, and I will say this, in my own past, and, when I was younger, we often find projects that we are working on in our relationships, so we don't have to focus on ourselves. And that is like a huge thing. I see a lot of women doing that, and I have to ask them, it's like, okay, well, you're doing this, and what value is this person, what piece is this person bringing to your life? I mean, are you becoming a better person being with them? So I think that that's something you really have to stop, and especially a lot of our younger women today, and say, are they pushing you to become better and want more for you? Or are you just working really hard to better that?
Yeah, 100%. All right, this is the part where Kira's going to tell everybody I load the dishwasher wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
No, this is the part where I'm going to say, do we have like 5 more hours to talk about this?
This is one of her favorite topics, by the way.
So much I want to say. And I'm just going to briefly say that I think one of the most foundational part about relationships is understanding we are wired so differently. So whether it's a man and a woman, a woman and a woman, a man and a man, masculine and feminine energy is wired completely differently. John, you hit the nail on the head, like communication, number one, communication. We are wired to communicate very differently. Masculine energy is wired to fix, to solve. Feminine energy is wired to connect and nurture, right? So whatever you believe in this universe, in our creator, whoever it is, whatever it is, had a really great sense of humor to make these two polar opposites attract and then wonder why we drive each other crazy. So that would be, again, because I could talk about this for hours upon hours. I do wish this is something, or was something, that was taught in school or at an earlier age. It wasn't until I learned the whole coaching skill set that I really understood or started to be coached, and also do my own research on understanding masculine and feminine energy. Let me just tell you right now, my life probably would have looked a lot differently if I had known this in my teens. So it is something I'm really passionate about when it comes to coaching younger individuals, to help them understand. There's not enough, money is money too, Danette. There's not enough education around money, not enough education around relationships, and what masculine and feminine energy is. So anyway, like I said, I could talk about this for hours upon hours.
All right. Last but not least, Joe.
So I think there's two things, right, with relationships for me, and I can look at it from the business side too, is self-awareness and communication. Like John said, self-awareness, you really got to be self-aware of who you are. What is your communication style? How do you communicate? How do you handle difficult people, easy people, people who have a tough time communicating or articulating their words? I think when you can really be self-aware of your environment and say, okay, well, my business partner is more of an introvert, I can kind of speak to that language a little bit more. And I think it just goes to the communication. I over communicate because like Kira said, everybody's different. Everybody's got a different style, whatever it is. And my business partner will say, and it's the running joke kind of in industry, you know, with Joe, you know exactly where you stand, and they laugh because I might call you 3 times and explain the same thing 3 different ways to make sure you absolutely get it. And I think when you have, you know, your relationship, it's that over communication with the spouse or your partner, like, hey, this is what I'm doing this week. You know, we take that 30 minutes on Sunday and say, this is what this week looks like. Where do you need to be with the kids? It doesn't always work well. The wheels come off a lot. It happens, but you got to regroup and communicate. And I think the same thing, you know, when you're running a business with your clients, over communicate what the expectation is of what you need from them, what they need from you, and just keep that communication going consistently. And it's that consistency with it that will, you know, get you where you need to be.
I love it. Love it. Love it. And so as we kind of wrap up, you know, this is awesome. This is exactly the way I was hoping this kind of turned out everybody with a perspective. And we're going to do this more often, probably every 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to do kind of a 20-minute micro burst of this, right? Where we're going to kind of chunk this down to specific topics where, you know, John and Joe and I may jump on them from the men's dude type of stream and really have a men's focused one. Definitely a self-care one, a relationship one, a health one, a money one, and really that wheel of life, right? And just have those kind of 20-minute segments that we're going to kind of do and bring the experts on and really promote those ahead of time to get a lot of those questions answered. But that's it, guys. We have come to the end, my friends.
Woo.
So I think, did the Phillies win? Because I forgot the Phillies were on tonight.
I know. I was trying to check.
They're still playing, right?
Let me see. Hold on.
I don't know, but
I got to
we're
check.
hoping.
If you're not a Phillies fan, I don't care. Bottom of the 7th, Diamondbacks 5-1. So we got a little bit of time to come back here.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise, and we're looking to partner. I love this Ignite partner coaching model that we've tried to put in place for a few years now. We're trying to find the right partners, and this has all kind of come together. So look for opportunities where we're going to do a lot of programs together. We're going to get some really, really great coaching content out there and opportunities, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. So thank you, guys.
And also, if you want to learn more about anything that we talked about, reach out to any one of the coaches that you heard here live tonight.
Yep.
I know that we are all very passionate about what we coach on. So please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you more.
And that's great. But tomorrow we'll put everybody's contact information in the comments of the main stream. So we'll get that out there for everybody. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Take it easy, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.